burn it for energy.
Use it or pack it away.
Yeah, exactly.
In less than an hour, my blood sugar level almost doubles. But I don't need all this extra energy in my system. I'm just sitting around doing nothing. So once my body's sugar stores are full, it goes into fat storage mode.
Outside of the laboratory, in the real world, there is no way that my sugar consumption is going to be confined to just a half a litre of the soft drink. What are the implications of that?
You'll be priming the body. Each time you take a sugary food, you'll be priming the body to not just store away sugar in our muscles, but also to store fat.
So any excess energy gets stored in the body as fat, and we all know the consequences of that: cholesterol, heart disease, diabetes. But there is a new cause for concern. Not all fat is the same, and some of the fat stored in our bodies may be more dangerous than previously thought.
We've been given unique access to a cancer surgery, thanks to the full agreement of the patient and the medical team.
It's almost 9 o'clock in the morning in operating theatre 7 here in St James's Hospital. Surgeons here and researchers in Trinity College Dublin are exploring the toxic effects of fat in the human body.
So the gentleman is a 62-year-old gentleman with a body mass index of 32 who was diagnosed a few months ago with a tumour in his esophagus. And the type of tumour he has is one of the tumours that has increased in incidence not only in Ireland but in North America and the Western world over the last 20 years or so, in parallel with the increasing incidence of obesity.
Professor John Reynolds is an expert in esophageal cancer. 7 years ago, he noted how many of his cancer patients were obese and wondered if there was a link. Now he's leading a research team which is trying to understand that apparent connection between cancer and the particular type of fat which gathers around our midriffs and our vital organs, visceral fat.
This is subcutaneous fat. That there. So there's the skin on the outside, of course, and that's the subcutaneous fat. Now, if you look inside here, you can see the full mass of the visceral fat. This is the omentum. It's called the fatty apron. And the more viscerally obese the patient, the more fat there is deposited at this site. Now there's a focus on this area here because we know that the majority of problems that relate to having this excess fat storage relate to this visceral fat as opposed to subcutaneous fat.
So this is not just inert tissue that sits there looking unsightly?
No, we used to think it was just an inert blob, dead weight, so to speak, but far from it, far from it. But what we absolutely do know is that this type of fat is much more metabolically active, and it's much more active in a significant way that connects with a lot of diseases that have increased in the Western world, not only cancers, but also diabetes and cardiovascular disease and even neurological diseases. And we're now at the stage where the research is trying to make those connections and understand those connections and maybe break those connections. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take a generous biopsy of the omentum, so the visceral fat biopsy, which you can see.
Because of the generosity of today's patient and many other cancer sufferers, the research team have built up a database of more than 500 samples. They have to act quickly with every new sample to recreate in their laboratory the effects of the visceral fat within the human body.
When the fat is actually excised by Professor Reynolds from theatre, it's brought over, and within a minimum of 8 minutes, that visceral fat is chopped up into small little pieces, put in special media that actually keeps the fat alive for up to a period of 3 days. And during that period of 3 days, where the fat is actually growing in a special medium, that gives the fat enough time to release a load of substances from the fat that it would actually release in a patient's body.
The Trinity College research is showing that substances released by the visceral fat can cause healthy cells to become unstable, while encouraging the growth and spread of cancerous cells.
What we do know is that the visceral fat enhances tumour growth. You can't say that the fat directly causes the tumour to happen, but it definitely produces factors which enhance its growth and its invasion into other tissues.
Being overweight or obese certainly does not help and is actually driving the actual aggressiveness of these cancers and potentially affecting how these cancers are responding to conventional treatments such as chemotherapy and radiation therapy also.
At normal levels, visceral fat may play a role in helping the body to fight infection, but if there's too much of it, this fat leads to abnormal inflammation in the body.
And it's this low-grade, persistent inflammation that's thought to be a major risk factor for a number of different cancers, but it's always associated with obesity as well.
An excess of visceral fat is a very real public health problem. There are a number of factors which cause it, but new research globally suggests that one link is a high intake of sugar. In Denmark, I've arranged to meet Bjorn Rikkelsen, a professor of clinical nutrition at Aarhus University. He recently carried out research with 50 obese volunteers to see how high sugar intake affects all levels of fat in the body, including visceral fat. A quarter of the volunteers had 100 grams of sugar, a litre of soft drink added to their daily diet. The next group added a litre of sugar-free soft drink. The third group added a litre of skimmed milk to their daily diet. And the final group, a litre of water.
6 months on, they all came back here to be scanned to see what had happened to their fat levels and their cholesterol levels. So 6 months later, they came back to you to have their body fat analysed and to have their cholesterol levels analysed. What did it show?
It shows that those who were drinking the sugar-sweetened soft drink, that they enhanced the fat in their liver with more than 100%, and they enhanced their fat in their muscle tissue also with more than 100% as compared with the 3 other groups. And moreover, they enhanced their amount of visceral adipose tissue with about 25%, and more significantly increased their level of lipids such as triglycerides and cholesterol, all compared with the 3 other drinks where there were really no changes.
No changes versus 100% increase of liver fat and muscle fat?
Yes.
The quarter of your subjects who took skimmed milk, what were the health effects there?
Drinking the same amount of energy from skim milk had really no effects on the amount of fat in the liver, no effects on the amount of fat in the muscle and the visceral fat depot, and no effects on the lipids. What we can talk about, it's the amount. Everything in relation to nutrition is related to the amount what we are taking in. And if it's smaller amounts, they will not have these health problems. So, but we used 1 liter per day, and for sure they have these problems.
Having read the study in question, what I would take from that study is that an unbalanced diet is an unhealthy diet. As an industry, we would argue that sugar-sweetened drinks have a place in a balanced diet.
Does industry accept, and indeed is industry preparing itself for the fact that all of that research is leading us in the direction that there's just simply way too much sugar in our foods?
Well, in relation to food generally, the point that industry continuously makes is we need to look at the information in terms of what foods can be consumed and the extent to which they can be consumed. And certainly certain foods should be consumed in moderation. That is always flagged on the food products. And when those foods are consumed in moderation, they can be done so as part of a healthy and balanced diet.
We're back to the same old advice that your grandmother would have given you, everything in moderation.
You're quite right. It's the same, my same advice.
Even if you haven't yet made up your mind about what our sugar intake is doing to us, doesn't it at the very least shout moderation? We know that we should be eating less. We know we should be cutting down on our salt. We know that we should be taking less sugar and less fat. We know what we should be doing. Why, though, is it so hard?
Unless you've had your head completely buried in the sand, you will know that the problem with the Irish diet is too much fat, too much salt, too much sugar, and, well, probably just simply too much of everything. If we know this, though, why then is self-control just so hard?
Okay, you're all very welcome. Kathleen has lost in total, Kathleen?
A £1.5.
£1.5. Well done, Kathleen. Well done. Was there someone else to get a silver 7? Keith is to get a silver 7. Keith, total weight loss. Actually, yeah, tell him total weight loss.
In total, it's 6 stone, 11 pounds.
6 stone.
We're constantly told that the key to any healthy diet or lifestyle is balance and moderation. I want to know, though, why willpower is such hard work.
You people are going to have a great insight, having given an awful lot more thought to this than most people, I would think, as why is it so hard?
I think it's when we wind down in the evening and we relax that we begin to look at what else can we do.
Is nighttime a trigger for anybody else?
Oh, yeah.
Why? What is it about night?
We're relaxed, kids are in bed.
My problem was portion size. I'd have to eat your plate, my plate, and somebody else's plate. You know what I mean?
Were you snacking between meals or?
Yes, definitely.
As well?
Oh, 100%. And at night, the fridge, you know, like, it was my best friend.
You know, when you take out a pizza out of a box, it looks so well, doesn't it? And when you put it into the oven, the smell of it, it's lovely. Can't say it's not, it is lovely. But that's why
It's the anticipation again is as pleasurable.
Yeah, and it's what is that, because the manufacturers do make them look so well and so presentable.
Is seeing food on television a trigger?
Even with the colours. Shopping. The supermarket. The smell of bread. No, when you go in the door and you smell the bread and the bakery's way down there.
Certainly, if you've had a bad day, something has really gone wrong, you're inclined to turn to food emotionally.
But then again, okay, have a crap day, eat food. Have a good day, I'm going to reward myself with something nice as well. Does anybody else do that?
Yeah. That's why we're here.
Everyone here is determined to take responsibility for their weight. But there is a big battle going on in their brains. Willpower versus cravings and desire. To find out more, I've come to the Medical Research Council's Clinical Science Centre in London. And the reason that we have come here, and the reason that I have fasted for the last 14 hours, is that I'm about to have my brain scanned to reveal, hopefully, the deepest, darkest secrets of what's actually going on in there. I've volunteered for a research project led by Dr. Tony Goldstone, who's looking into the whole area of hunger and cravings. He's measuring my hungry brain's reaction to a range of neutral images compared to a selection of low and high calorie foods.